What's up, folks? It's Matt from Dice Camera Action with my first impressions of Origin Story. So I just got sent Origin Story by Jamie Stonemaier himself. Super excited to check it out. Jamie was recently on the podcast where we reviewed Vantage, and he came onto the podcast and did an interview, talked about Vantage, his process, some of the decision making that he made, as well as other kind of general board game stuff. And so if you're interested in hearing about Vantage, go and check out our latest podcast. But today I want to talk about my first impressions of Origin Story. So Origin Story is a trick-taking game that also has some tableau building and some engine building. So what Jamie said on the podcast was that he loves trick-taking games, but he felt that they lacked a little bit of progression. And he wanted to inject some of that kind of feeling more powerful as the game went along, with some engine building, tableau building sort of thing. So we'll see if he achieved that or not, but I'm really excited to check it out. So as a trick-taking game, you basically use a standard 52 card deck. However, in Origin Story, they're custom decks, custom suits, I should say. So you've got the the strength suit. Hopefully that'll focus up for you. You have this one here is the speed suit, so some pretty cool art there. And then you've got the love suit, which is the trump, so that always stays trump. And then you've got the brains suit. So basically 4 suits, 52 cards, 1 to 13 in each suit. So kind of standard trick-taking must follow on that side of things. But then you also have the engine building part of it. So you have this player board, which opens up like a comic book. So pretty nice touch there. And then on the inside, you've got custom superheroes, I guess. A little bit of an asymmetric start for each player. They have their own little power. And then it actually kind of shows a little bit of an origin story for this specific kind of character, Sylvia. So pretty great art there. And then in each of these 4 slots that you see, you'll be putting in a story card. So story cards look like this. And if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of each round, you'll get to slot one of these story cards onto your player board. And then you can use the stamina tokens, which are just little thought bubbles or speech bubbles, to pay for. As you see here, you would pay 2 to use this ability, and you would pay 1 to use this ability, for example. So essentially, at the beginning of each round, you choose one of these, add it to your story or add it to your superhero, and they have different kind of flavors to them. So this one is an arch enemy. This one is a power. This one is a talent. This one is a gadget. This one's an ultimate ability. This one contributes to your backstory. So all kinds of cool stuff, and you can kind of have a little bit of a story of what your superhero is by the end of the game. And then at the beginning of the game, you're also going to get 2 of these superhero cards. So these superhero cards have abilities and things that they do, and you'll reveal them on the very last round of the game, on the 5th round. You'll choose which one of the 2 you want to use, flip it over, and they have these big splashy abilities from my understanding. So yeah, that's sort of a very quick introduction to what Origin Story is. It's standard must follow trick taking, where you'll get points for every suit taken, or for every trick taken, or if you decide to be a villain, you have to declare that at the beginning of the round. You can flip your score marker over, and then you'll score 4 points if you take no tricks. So if you're choosing to become a villain for a round, you can choose to do no tricks. And then these abilities that you're going to slot into your player board are going to let you cheat and change the rules and do specific things and steal cards and do all kinds of things with the tricks that you've won, with resources, etc. So that's my basic understanding of what Origin Story is. I'm going to go ahead and play the game tonight with some friends. And then at the end of this video, I'll tack on my initial thoughts after having played the game a few times. So we'll see you shortly. Alright, so I'm back after having played my first 2 games of Origin Story. by Stonemaier Games. And I have to say that I had a lot of fun. I went into this really excited, and it was a little bit of a roller coaster, my first couple games of this, because this is not a traditional trick taking game. And I think that maybe people that are really hardcore traditional trick taking folks might have a little bit of difficulty thinking outside the box and expanding their minds and their feelings so that they can enjoy a game like Origin Story. Because this, Origin Story is a trick-taking game. So you take trick-taking game and you put it in a blender, but then you're also taking character building and you're putting it in the blender, and you're also taking tableau building and engine building and you're putting that in the blender. And I want to say there's a bigger portion of engine building and tableau building in that blender than there is trick taking. So, it comes out the other side and you've got this like game where the progression of your character, the progression of what you can do during a round of trick taking, is massive and really important. So if you can't think outside the box and really just understand what this game is, and I had a few moments like that early in my first game where I thought, okay, this should be the most powerful card left, because like a good trick taking player, I'm keeping an eye on what's come out and what should be out there. And the one card that could beat this card is gone. So I play it thinking I'm going to win this trick, and then that should set me up for maybe winning a couple more or winning key tricks that I need to take. But what happened is somebody activated one of their abilities and made it so that they could cheat in some way, and they won the trick. So, in that moment I was taken aback and I thought, oh man, this game is like not trick taking at all, But then, very quickly I thought, okay, that can happen here and there. For the most part, it's still trick taking, and that's still the flow of trick taking. And in most cases, that card that I had will still win. But there's the odd time where somebody can activate an ability and throw a little bit of a chaos bomb into it. So you've got to be okay with that, because also you're going to throw some chaos bombs into it as well. Somebody's going to play and think that they're going to run out the rest of the hand and win the rest of the trick, but you change something by activating one of your abilities and you flip the whole thing on its head. So there's going to be moments where you're kind of blindsided by something, and there's going to be some moments where you're blindsiding other people with your abilities as well. So as long as you're okay with that and you can kind of think outside the traditional trick-taking box and expand the way that you feel and the way that you interact with a trick-taking game, there is a ton of fun to be had here. The level of progression that you can have with your character and how more and more powerful it gets is very evident, and the theme really comes through for a trick-taking game, which is, I think, pretty rare for this style, for this genre of game. So that's kind of my caveat. If you're not flexible with this style of game and you feel like you want to be more traditionalist, that's totally fine. But this game might not be for you. But I think that if you're able to kind of set that aside and just have some fun with it and build up your characters, you're going to have a lot of fun with this game, because I totally did. And I played with, I played 2 games. 1 3-player game, 1 5-player game. And in that 5-player game, there was 2 people at the table who had not played a ton of trick-taking games. They were familiar, but they were not like hardcore trick-taking people. They had a ton of fun. I am a hardcore trick-taking person, and I had a ton of fun. You just got to be able to put yourself in that mindset and understand the toy that you're playing with here. So yeah, in both games, everybody at the table had their moments where they were able to activate something or do something that made them feel really powerful. And so the theme comes through, and over the course of the game, you're going to get duped, you're going to dupe others. And so you just got to be okay with that. You got to go along for the ride and embrace the chaos bombs and have fun with it and laugh out loud and make fun of your friends and be made fun of for thinking that you're going to win that trick when you just, and then it gets, somebody swoops in and takes it out from under you because they have a super suit or they have, a super tool of some kind that's able to kind of undermine the situation. So yeah, I had way more fun than I expected to with this. And as I said, a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. I had a few moments early where I was like, what is this game? Like, this is not trick-taking. But then I really quickly found out that it is trick-taking game. It's just got a lot of chaos bombs and some big levers that you can pull to your advantage. So yeah, those are my first impressions on Origin Story. I had a ton of fun, and looking forward to playing a lot more of this game.